Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is David and I'm known on the internet as Unity Freedom. So today the topic that I will be talking about is interdependent originations. Buddha calls it interdependent originations, and it's a continuation from the last time that I shared my insights about experiencing the flow. And then when you're experiencing the flow, you're part of the flow. But also, I just like to share the experience that when you're in the flow, not everything that you express or not everything that you have envisioned will come true. And so today I will talk about why it won't come true and why we have this resistance, this challenge whenever we express something and we see as reality or the Christ truth for that particular moment, and then when we express it, we have this enthusiasm to think that, okay, I saw the vision of the Christ, the answer to a problem that may help the person make a choice to embrace a higher truth and be able to make a higher choice, but then the person resists and then call you out, judge you, condemn you, or even put you down, saying that whatever you say has no reality to it. Whatever you say is not realistic or it's not the truth. So today I will share my insights and explain why that is the case. So without further ado, I'll come back and I'll talk more about this. Hi, welcome back. So 2,500 years ago, Buddha talked about the interdependent originations. And there's a lot of people out there, experts and Buddhists alike, have interpreted what interdependent originations is. But today, I'd like to share my insights of what I believe interdependent originations is and how it can affect your expression, your Christhood expression on this planet. So, without going into the definition and what it really means about interdependent originations, is that what I like to say is interdependent originations it's not about trying to explain a certain phenomena or a certain cause, because what interdependent originations really mean is that there is no single cause to the causes or to the problems that we see today in terms of people suffering. Because everybody wants to find an answer. Why am I suffering? Why is the planet suffering? Why is this shouldn't be like this, or this should be like that? There's always the need to find a single cause, the ultimate truth. And then that ultimate truth or the single cause and the single explanation of the truth will resolve all suffering. But interdependent originations is like a web of interdependent choices of everyone that's making the choices on earth that's causing the conditions that you see today. So it's not just one person causing it, it's everybody. Everybody has a hand in the causes of the situation we see today. So I'd like to go first, I'll tell a little story so it's probably easier for you to understand what interdependent originations would mean in a context of this story. So if you look at history, history has shown that changes on earth is not easy. It's not immediate. Like even if you see a change, a vision of change that will bring a better life for human beings, even you see it and you share it, immediately you'll get a resistance from a number of people. Take the horse buggy transition to a car. Some person, his name is Henry Ford, had a vision that a common person will eventually be driving a car. There will no more people riding horses, and there won't be any horse and buggies performing or conducting transportation, and there will be a booming industry that will allow new forms of transportation based on a car. So in 1908, Henry Ford envisioned that there is a possibility that everyone can afford a car. So you would think that, especially right now that we know from experience that we cannot live without a car. Basically, a car is our form of transportation, be it gas-powered or electric-powered. But a car has now pretty much replaced the horse and buggy and the horses that 30, 40 years ago we used to treat them as the standard form of transportation. But even in the beginning of the discovery of gas-powered vehicles, there's a very huge resistance to the adoption of cars. And it took 30 to 40 years before that transition is complete. 30 to 40 years. Now you would imagine that if everybody has that, vision that cars could bring so much new industries into realization, imagine a car doesn't eat hay, doesn't eat grass. Horses do, but a car doesn't. A car needs gasoline, fuel, fossil fuel. So it's a different form of raw material to power the car. And of course, in order to make the car running, you need fuel. So you create a new industry of fuel production in order to power a car. But for someone who is focused on the past, on the industry of the past, for example, horse and buggy, they have a huge attachment, or they have a huge liability. Their business is based on horse and buggy and horses. A car is a threat to them. So you have this groups of individuals that know and see the future, that if the car takes over the horse, then their jobs will be done. They will not have a job. And the industry that produce hay and for the food supplies for the horses will no longer exist. So any infrastructure that is tied to the horse will cease to exist. And there is a huge resistance of that. So if you try to, like Henry Ford or other auto manufacturers, try to push the new ideas and to push the adoption of cars, they will face a huge resistance. Even though the future has been set. As we know now, we depend on cars. All the transportations that we see today, that we experience today, are based on cars. Then the only time that you see horses and horse and buggies are in farms, in some communities that still uses horse and buggy and horses. But pretty much all the countries in the world have embraced automation. And but it took 30 to 40 years. So you wonder, why does it take 30 to 40 years to realize it? And the answer is that there is free will involved. Everyone has free will. The horse and buggy people have free will. The people who embrace cars in the beginning also have free will. They see that they want to exercise their free will to allow cars, adoption of cars, to move forward at a much faster pace, because they see it as a way of the future. But you also have the horse and buggy people who refuse to move, who are attached to the past. And because they know that the past, hey, everything was fine with horse and buggy, everything was fine with people riding horses to and from a certain location to a destination. They don't see anything wrong with that, but they don't have the vision compared to the people who are enthusiastic about the new vision that the future will be cars. And part of the reason why they cannot see that future, the vision, is because they're so locked in, they're so attached to the current conditions that they are in now. Meaning that the horse and buggy people are so attached to the horse and buggy because it provides them with a certain advantage. Namely, there's a business going. It puts food on the table. They also see that if cars are allowed to be mass marketed, be quickly adopted, they'll be out of the business, because who want to be riding horse and buggies anymore when a car is much better? So of course that these people have a lot to lose. They're so attached to what is the past, and the past has a lot to lose compared to the new technology. And so the horse and buggy people will resist. They will resist because they have the right to resist, because they have free will. But the rest of the universe and the rest of the people who have seen cars and see the future of cars, well, there's no moving back. There's only forward. There's only more. There will be more industries created with the adoption of cars. And we know today there's many industries that's been born out of us adopting in driving cars. There's superhighways, gas stations, now charging stations, motels, so you can stay in motels. You can travel much further with a car compared to a horse and buggy. And then you develop industries for parts for cars, and then industries for transportation, logistics, to move goods and services from one place to another, and you can move them in such huge quantities that it promotes and it creates a number of other businesses. So in the end, the car itself allow more and more new industries to be created. And this is how we grow as a society, that new technologies, new ways of doing things, new innovations promote creation of new businesses, new ways of conducting commerce. But for the horse and buggy people, they cannot see that. They simply cannot see that the new technology, the new innovation could bring much more wealth to the people, including themselves. If the horse and buggy people were to let go of the horse and buggy and then retrain themselves to be car mechanics or to run businesses that take advantage of logistics and take advantage of businesses that produce parts, repair shops, a myriad of many things, they would actually make more money if they are willing to retrain themselves, if they are willing to open their mind and open up to new opportunities. But because they have the free will, and because they're exercising their free will, they're resisting the change. And this is not an isolated phenomenon. It's not an isolated phenomenon at all. In Jesus' times, 2,000 years ago, there were many followers that followed Jesus, including Peter. But Jesus saw right through who were the true followers and who are just sticking around, acting like they're followers, but they're not really followers. They're just wanting to follow someone, but they have not committed into changing themselves from within. Because what happened when Jesus asked Peter, why am I sensing that someone who is going to betray me? Why am I sensing Peter is going to betray me 3 times? Jesus could sense that because Jesus saw that if someone wants to try and fake it till you make it, you simply cannot do that. You simply cannot fake it till you make it. Because if you try that, there will be a test. And everyone in life will face this kind of test to see if you're a true follower of Christ. And as I say with the horse and buggy and the car, if you are a true follower of Christ, you will see the new innovations. You will not reject the new innovations, the new ideas. You will embrace it. Yes, of course, there is a sense of fear that you're going to lose your job. But you also see that there are more new jobs created. There is no sense of fear because you know that if things is allowed to be more, then if you embrace the more, you will be more as well. You will adapt and you'll change. And that was part of what Jesus said in 2,000 years ago. I am the way, the truth, and the life. If you embrace the Christ mind, you are the way. The truth is the relative truth and the new truth. You have a relative truth that you are holding on to that allow you to manifest a certain life. But the new truth, if you're willing to accept it and take it and devour it, will allow you to live on. That allow you to have your life and be more. So if you take a truth coming from the Christ, and that truth, you can accept it or you can deny it. If you accept it, then you will flow with life. Things will go your way, will flow your way. It may not be what you see as your way, but it will help you. Just like if the horse and buggy people were to accept the new reality that the car is going to be the future, not the horse and buggy. Those people who have accepted reality, have taken it on as the truth, they will benefit from the change, from pivoting from horse and buggy to a car. But for those who are not willing to take the truth, accept it, they will struggle. They will be in a sense, suffer because they're resisting the change. And in Jesus' time, 2,000 years ago, when Jesus asked Peter, "Are you my loyal follower?" And of course, Peter was saying, "Yes, I am your loyal follower. I am so loyal. Why are you even asking me this question?" But Jesus knew at the time that Peter was showing that he is a loyal follower, but he has not adopted the mind of Christ. Because if he did, he would have understood why Jesus went and be hung on the cross. This is part of the journey of every Christed being. Because every new idea you bring out, every new expression you bring out, you will be rejected and you will be crucified. But you see, if you understand why you're rejected and why you're crucified, just like those who called Jesus Barabbas, they would rather accept and embrace the thief, but not Jesus. And the reason is because they are afraid of admitting that they are wrong. You see that so many people out there, when you try to say something, express new ideas, you're just expressing a new truth about new ideas that will take society forward. It's not the ultimate truth you're expressing. It's not the ultimate truth that is there to prove your own truth wrong. It only allows you to help you in a particular situation, to help you move up. If you embrace a higher truth, then your life will move up. You will improve your life. You will be more. Because now, if you embrace the higher truth, it will take you higher. But what happens to these people who followed Jesus 2,000 years ago? They believe they have the higher truth. They are only following Christ because they think that, oh, I just follow Christ, it validates my truth. Because in order for you to deny a certain truth, you need some validation. This is the ego way of doing things. The ego always needs to have a certain validation. Something to validate the idea that I need something to validate me. Just like the horse and buggy people, I need the auto industry, I need the car manufacturers to validate me that the cars, they're not the future. The horse and buggy is the future, and they will produce all kinds of excuses and facts to justify that horse and buggy is a better form of transportation. And the same way as Jesus followers, that they fake it, they try to fake it till they make it by thinking that, oh, I just fake it, I just pretend that I am embracing the mind of Christ. But there's always an initiation to really see if you really, truly embrace the Christ mind. And that was exactly that test a few people passed it. The true followers of Jesus passed it. They saw Jesus as the way, the life, and the truth. Yeah, well, as the way, the truth, and the life. But those who have not taken on the mind of Christ, they just see someone as being Barabbas. They see Jesus as nothing more than that figure. Because in order for you to have Christ's discernment, and this is what I'm talking about, Christ's discernment, and it has to do also related to the interdependent originations, is that if you have Christ's discernment, you have taken on the mind of Christ, which is why, because it's called Christ's discernment. It's not judgment. It's not ego judgment or human judgment. It is simply that you have received a vision from the Christ mind, or you have received wisdom, a certain form of knowing. You just know. And then you will also open up to your heart to the Christ, and you dwell with the Christ, and if you can feel the flow. If you receive the vision from the top down below, you feel the flow through the vision, and you know that this particular vision applies to the certain condition or situation that you're facing now, or you're trying to help the person overcome a certain limitation. But the person is not willing to accept or receive this new idea because the person has closed off from the mind of Christ, from the flow in the heart. And that when a person listens to you what you're having to say or your expression, the person then uses the intellectual mind, the conceptual mind, the judgmental mind to conceptualize what you're trying to say, and then to put judgment, comparing the reality of the person that had taken on and have embraced compared to what you're trying to say to the person. And the person simply cannot accept that new idea. So even with the followers of Jesus, they look at Jesus, they know he's hung on the cross, he's suffering, but still, even with that evidence, that yes, if you were to express something new, chances are you might experience being crucified, being laughed at, being put down, being ignored, being denied. That's what Jesus was trying to show to people. And if you have expressed Christ in the past or in the present, and you express some new ideas, and guess what? You get laughed at, you get put down, you get ignored, or you get belittled by these people. It's not that they have any axe to grind against you. It is because you are a threat to them, to their whole being. Because people who are in this kind of mindset, they are in that sense of control. They're in that sense of control. They want to control conditions and situations and people expressing so that they don't have to face their own trauma. People who have experienced trauma in the past often don't want to re-experience the trauma again. So they build up this defense mechanism. They created these cells, a representative, it's just cells, the false cells. It's not their real cells, it's not even real to them, but they have created the cells as a defense mechanism to control the situation and control other people so that they other people do not express a certain expression so that they don't have to relive the situation ever again. And often they will do that by trying to suppress the expression of people who sees a new higher truth, or they would condemn and crucify the people who bring new ideas because they feel in a state of equilibrium when they see no one is challenging them. So they always like to go with the certain groups of people, but they always look for someone who is expressing new ideas. They want to get involved, but they want to make sure that that person who is giving out or expressing new ideas doesn't challenge them. So they feel involved. They feel like they're in the game. They're changing. They're improving themselves because they're following someone who is promoting new ideas and sharing new ideas. So they think that, oh, because I am with this person who is sharing new ideas, who are in the movement, in the progressive movement of embracing these new ideas, then I am also growing. You know, you associate yourself with an individual who is growing, and you feel that it rubs on you, that you feel that you are also growing. But that's just a false illusion. Because if you're expressing something that is a truth that is higher than what they have taken on the truth, you can see that their actions and how they receive this is that if you're truly listening to the truth, you would have embraced it. You would have taken it on. And you would have actually shared that and used or applied the truth to yourself. And you will feel there is also a sense of resistance in yourself that the truth that will set you free is actually something in you that is resisting that truth. And if your disciples or if the followers are experiencing this and truly want to help themselves grow, they will actually apply themselves and then work on themselves to resolve the trauma. And you can see that the results of that is that whatever you do, like for someone of you, if you're expressing something of the truth, and if your followers are following you and really do the work and resolving the traumas so they don't have the need to control the outer situation and they can just let that go. So whatever you do, you don't see them as them judging you. Or they wouldn't judge you. They wouldn't control you or try to control you. They actually use you as a means for their own growth, because now you have become their own teacher or inner teacher, allowing them to see any issue that they have that is preventing them from growing. So you look at Jesus' followers, a few of them actually passed the test. A few of them saw what Jesus, what he is about on the cross. It's not about, freeing other people's sins, like what the mainstream teachings or the belief is that Jesus was doing, but it's actually a test for you to see what you see. What do you see when Jesus was hanging on the cross. You would have related, if someone was truly following his teachings, you would have related that Jesus' experience is your own experience that you will face. Now, I'm not saying that everyone is going to be like Jesus, going out there and teach, or like me, going out there like posting YouTube videos and doing talks and so forth. You don't have to. You have the option and you have the freedom to choose to do this. Just like I have the freedom to choose to do this and to put myself on YouTube channels and to express myself through the channel. But you can do, Christhood is there is no standard. There is no definition of how you express your own Christhood or how you express the Christ within you. But the result is always the same. When you express something from within you, you want to express a higher truth, you will face condemnation, you will face judgment or being put down. Because those who judge you, those who condemn you, are themselves people who are unwilling to work on their own psychology, their own traumas. And so it created a situation and condition in themselves to be judgmental of others because they want to protect themselves from re-experiencing the trauma. And what does it have to do with the interdependent originations? Well, that's because a large number of people today are still unwilling to resolve the traumas. They would rather be maintaining the status quo, maintaining their sense of living, even if the sense of living is not all that great. But they compute that, hey, I have a lot of money, I have a lot of assets, I have no desire to resolve my traumas. And then you have the flip side, which is a lot of people, and then they're suffering from poverty, from a lack of food, lack of shelter, and so forth. But they are unable to overcome the traumas that caused them or put them in that situation. And then they will play this blame game. They blame God. They blame the universe for handing them a pretty lousy card. But really, it's all in the willingness for you to let go of the current truth that you have that puts you in that situation. Because any truth that you have right now is relative. It's not the ultimate truth. It's not the right truth. It is just a relative truth that puts you in this situation. And when somebody comes along and express to you just a little bit higher truth, if you're the true Christ and you're the follower of Christ, then you would consider that truth. And then you see how you can use that truth so that you can improve your own condition. But the interdependent originations prevent that from happening. And why is that? Because the interdependent originations means that the society as a whole is all interdependently connected. So even you, like for myself, even if I express this video, there will be a great resistance to embracing what I'm trying to say. Because there is the interdependent connection from all of us that pushes us to maintain the status quo. So this requires a certain level of force. Because if you are connected to the mind of Christ and flowing with the flow, there is no force needed. You don't really need to force yourself to be in this flow. You don't even really need to force yourself to embrace the mind of Christ. Like you see with Jesus, never point anyone with a sword or point anyone with any threats when he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. You have the chance and the choice to embrace that by surrendering to the way, the truth, and the life of Christ. But surrendering to the way, the truth, and the life of Christ means that you have to resolve the trauma that prevents you from surrendering. And the trauma is something that many people are still unwilling to resolve. Part of it is that it is very difficult if you have experienced a severe trauma. I understand that. And that's why there are many professionals out there that can assist you, and there are many spiritual approaches that can assist you in helping you resolve the most difficult trauma. But still, you need to have the willingness to resolve it by surrendering the past, surrendering the choices that causes you not to resolve the trauma. Because with interdependent originations, everything is interdependently connected. And the choices that one person makes not to resolve the trauma could be many, many lifetimes ago. Maybe even thousands of years ago. Don't even know when you started it. But that doesn't really matter. Because if you're expressing to help other people overcome their traumas by expressing a certain level of truth, you also have to accept the fact that these people may not embrace the truth. They may think that, oh, you're not really helping me overcome the trauma. But your job is not to try to help people overcome the trauma. Your job is to give or provide a higher truth, the next level up for them to help themselves resolve the trauma so that they can be the follower of Christ. Sometimes what happens, even myself, I see that there's that interdependent originations. It is very difficult for me to change other people's minds. So I have experienced that, and I feel that I no longer want to do that because it's pretty much impossible to change other people's minds to what you want them to be. But if you were to look at the situation, let's say the horse and buggy people, and you're the pioneer that creates this automobile, the future, you would give them the next higher truth. If you see these people as mechanics who are repairing the horse and buggy, and you can show them that if you embrace the new industries, you can convert yourself from, or transition yourself, pivot yourself from being a horse and buggy mechanic into an auto mechanic. I mean, the transition would be difficult because it two completely different technology. But still, if you're willing to transition, after the transition period is done, you would have a new job. And the same way as with Jesus' disciples, if they're willing to transition themselves and embrace the mind of Christ, the life that we have today would be even much better than it is right now. But of course, many people have denied the Christ, and as a result of that, history repeats all the time. We have wars, and then we look at the cause and effect, and really there is no single cause and single effect. What started the war? But did it bring peace after the war? So it never brought any peace. Only a false peace between two sides that figured out they got so tired of the war, they depleted their resources, they decided, let's stop the war. But it's not a true peace, what Jesus was implying. True peace is your willingness to embrace the mind of Christ. Then there is no judgment. I see you as my loving neighbor, and you see me as your loving neighbor. So there is no animosity. But right now, what we see in the world today is all about a piece of paper you sign on the dotted line, and that's peace. But the two sides are still seeing each other as enemies. It's just that the piece of paper tells everyone we have achieved peace. But is that true peace? Or is that false peace? So the Christ mind is not about a piece of paper that you sign and that is it. The Christ mind is about progressive revelation. You get new ideas all the time, how to improve yourself and how to improve society, to allow society to move forward. But as you receive new information, new ideas, new visions, people who are not open to that new vision, new information, will be highly resistant because it challenges their trauma, their unwillingness to resolve the trauma, that new things don't bring suffering and don't bring challenges to you. It is your need to control the situation, your need to find a single cause to why you're suffering, why people are bringing new ideas. Can they not accept the current idea that we have? Like, what's wrong with the current idea? What's wrong with not maintaining the status quo? It is this kind of attitude, this kind of ideas, that let's maintain the status quo. Let's not change anything. Let's not think about new ideas. Just like when you look at the new ideas that Mamdani brought, the grocery stores that he's erecting, big grocery stores, even though that he'll be the store that he had envisioned will be losing $300,000 a year. Now that's taxpayers' money, and that's taxpayer trying to subsidize groceries and affordable groceries to help New Yorkers have affordable groceries. But this is just a new idea. How do we know that this new idea would work out in the future? How would we know the new ideas, being an auto mechanic or having automobiles on the road, will not bring profits and a better future? right? I mean, the horse and buggy people will point out, hey, you know, automobiles are expensive, it's polluting, and it's costing money. Well, losing money, and that is, for certain businesses, that because you have these new businesses catered towards automobiles, well, they're not making money right now, but that doesn't mean that they would be making money in the future when the automobiles are fully adopted. If you look at Mandani's approach, he's just trying it out. It's a new idea, but everybody else says that, oh, it's a bad idea. It will fail. So you see, this is what happens when someone is not really connected to the Christ mind. Is that everything that is not based on the status quo is not the truth. They don't want to experiment. They don't want to have to try it out because they already condemn it as being a failure. But how do you know it's a failure? Right? If you haven't tried it, how would you know it's a failure? You try it. If you tried it and it is a failure, then it is a failure. But if you are unwilling to try it and you automatically condemn it as being a failure, what is causing this? Again, control. You have a fear of failure, a fear of being wrong. So even if somebody suggested this idea of funding grocery stores with taxpayers' money, and then you would think that, oh, this approach, you might lose some money, a lot of money, taxpayers have to fund it. But what are the advantages that can bring to the people of New York with lower price groceries? We don't know that. We assume that it won't work, but we don't know that. And this is how certain people who is not connected to the Christ mind and is presented with ideas or new ideas that is going or countering against their own beliefs, their own truth, will often judge. Rather than take a wait and see approach, see if it truly is working. Or if it's a failure, then try something else. Try another approach. But an idea, a new idea, doesn't automatically bring prosperity and wealth. It's an approach. You approach a new idea, it might sound stupid, it might sound ridiculous, it may even sound far-fetched. But you see, an idea, an approach needs improvement, needs new approaches, needs new refinements. And then if you refine and you approach this idea and it gets traction and it actually works, then this new idea will take hold. And that's why it took 30 to 40 years for the auto industry or for the automobiles to fully overtake the horse and buggy. 30 to 40 years. Because it is 30 to 40 years of trial and error and experimentation in embracing automobiles as the new form of transportation and logistics is what makes automobiles today the standard for transportation. So new ideas doesn't mean that it will automatically or it will immediately materialize, because new ideas have to face the interdependent originations. Everything is connected, and if you put a new idea, there will be a huge resistance and everybody is working against the new idea. So when you're expressing a new idea yourself in the next 11 years, you will face a certain resistance. And you even feel like, sometimes I even feel that I am doubting myself expressing even on my channel. But I have to accept, and I had accepted that new ideas will take time to be embraced. Sometimes a very long time. But that's okay, because if you felt to express, if you felt you are motivated, you're driven to express a certain new idea, then just express it. But don't get frustrated or get angry that you're being put down. Because if you accept that we are living in an interdependent world, there's the interdependent originations that can work against you to fully realize your expression, your ideas, then you won't be looking for some result, or you won't be looking for some cause, a single cause of why your new ideas are not being accepted, or how come nobody really wants to hear what you have to say. So think about interdependent originations, that we are all interdependently connected, and that our expressions and our ideas, even though you express to a small group of people, they can be rejected, but their rejection is because of the interdependent whole. We're all connected. So if you talk to someone and that someone rejects you, condemns you and judges you, don't take it personally. If the person is not open to the Christ mind and is locked in to the mind of the whole, that is the human whole, that is resisting the change, then they will express in that manner. They're just expressing in that manner to resist the change, or to resist new ideas, or to resist new ways of doing things. So right now, I don't even take it so seriously. That if somebody rejects my expression, if I get not so many views, if nobody likes it, I'm okay with that, because I understand I'm working against the whole. Not forcefully, you're just expressing with joy their new ideas. And you know that it's a new idea, that if it takes traction, can help the people and the whole. Can move the society a little bit higher every single time. If they accept that truth, that will take them higher. But if they don't accept the truth, then they just have to mull around and suffer a little bit. But you don't have to suffer. If everybody rejects your expression, don't take it seriously. And don't expect that everybody will accept your expression. And then you can live in joy, because your life, your inner condition is not tied and attached to outer results of your expression. But you need to accept that there is that interdependent originations, that there is no single cause that will explain to you why people reject your expression, and why such a great idea that can help them. I mean, can they not see that this new idea, this new approach will liberate them from their own suffering? You see it. You see that reality. You see the truth. You have embraced it. You have experienced it. But just because you have experienced it doesn't mean that people will embrace it and will experience it for themselves. It would be nice if they would. But that's why God gave us free will. They are allowed to exercise their own free will to reject your expression. Even the whole can exercise the free will of the whole to reject your expression. But this is the way it is. And if you just accept that we are living in the interdependent whole, and that our expression, once we express it, we're happy with it, we're flowing, we continue on to the next expression, then you will live in joy and you will not suffer. And if people judge you, don't worry about it. Be happy that you have expressed what you are meant to express, and then you move on. All right? I hope this is a long discourse that can help you for whatever questions that you have on yourself and your doubts that you're on this path and you're expressing your ideas and people reject you and you don't know why, and people are repeating their own mistakes and you don't know why, and people are making the same mistakes again and again and you don't know why. Can't they not see what they're making, the mistakes? They can stop making those mistakes, but just accept the fact that this is the interdependent originations. That is, you cannot change what is going on until those people are willing to change from within. They have to change. You are not responsible to changing them. You are just expressing and giving them a new truth so they can embrace it if they are willing to with their own free will, so they can change from within. But it is not your responsibility to change them, because if you try to do that, you will suffer. Okay, thank you very much for listening to my talks. Until next time, this is David saying goodbye.